lid. We are now going to put some insulation on the lid so that the heat does not escape on the top. And there's my roll. This is another reason why I like getting the different size rolls, because some the shorter rolls fit really good for the walls. These longer rolls are almost the perfect dimensions for the lid, and that causes you to do less cutting. So that's really a good thing. We have a new kitten here who's going to help us test these. We worried a little bit when we first did these that these corners would cause the lid to not shut, but it actually doesn't bother it at all. It's fine. So now we're going to tape this down with foil tape. Okay, next we have, I forgot to put the foil tape to close this seam out. I'm going to do that next, and then we're going to foil tape the bottom so that the cats don't dig up the insulation on the bottom of their shelter.
Calculations, we could have made 13 minutes by now. Now she's actually foil taping in all the bottom corners and edges to make sure that cats are not able to dig up the insulation when they're in here either sleeping or maybe even playing games. Like the cat over there is about to pull their camera down. Maybe I already did pull away the camera. Straw. Is it can I open the lid? Depending on where you're going. If it's going in someone's fenced-in backyard, then, you don't have to have the zip tie lid on it. There's always a different tool for different jobs. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There we have the entire bin enclosed and insulated with foil tape. And the lid will fit on top and hide it all. Okay, you can see that we've added the straw, not hay, but straw, into the bin. And it's about, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches thick. We decided to go with this amount because we feel with the 3 layers of insulation and the straw, the cats will be plenty warm once you put the lid on, and their body heat fills up the shelter, especially if there's 2 or 3 of them. This bin we think is probably big enough for 2, maybe 3 cats if it's really cold and they want to snuggle. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to put the lid on, and we're going to show you how to put the holes in if you want to secure your shelters with zip ties so people aren't coming and lifting the lids off of the shelters and messing with the cats. We're going to show you how to secure those down if you don't happen to have any of those bins that have the locking handles on them. Also, we didn't want to put too much straw in because it tends to fall out of the door. And I don't know if we mentioned before, but the door should be at least 4 to 5 inches off the ground so that any floods don't cause water to go into the shelters. So get those holes, entryways, as high as you can on these bins. We were kind of limited with this design that this bin had, but we would have went higher if we could. So now, here we laid down a blanket. I got these blankets at the 99-cent store. I think they were actually $1.99. So for $2, we have a nice soft, I believe this is fleece blanket, but I would only recommend those if you have somebody who can actually check the shelters and wash them if necessary. Otherwise, I would just leave the straw for the cats to burrow into. But if it's a cat that you see all the time, or a shelter you're going to be around all the time, you can add the blankets, which will make it a little bit more comfortable, but they will probably get dirty. And we're going to shut our lid and secure the lid down.
And so
This is back to our soldering iron.
we attach a lid, and we actually use the soldering iron to melt a hole through the lid and then through the actual rail of the container at the bottom. Now usually what I do is I'll actually find somewhere else to grab under the same time. And now let me make sure that I'm lined up over here. Now we had the Reflectix tape already on, so I'm actually burning through all the layers and going through the Reflectix tape. You want it just to be clean for your shelter build. But I usually, then if it sticks to the zip tie, you just pull and break it free.
The thing nice about these zip ties too is they can always be cut with scissors or some tin snips, and then they're super cheap. You can always, if you need to clean the shelters out or change out the straw, these are really easy to replace.
I'll usually pull the zip tie and try to make it so as I tighten it, the bottom of the zip tie ends up facing down. So since we already built the shelter and already have like it near the razor, so I'm just going to use a razor knife and cut it off.
Next, we're going to be showing you how to support the door